I'm Emma Hewlett from Kilmackie Gardens. I'm the chairperson of the Wexford Garden Trail, and I'm going to be interviewing the members of the Garden Trail to find out a little bit about their businesses and their gardens, their garden centres and their parks. The first gentleman I have with me this morning is Kevin Norton, who is the head gardener at the John F. Kennedy Arboretum. You're very welcome.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah,
Kevin, I love the connection between Kilmackie Gardens on Great Island Campile and the John F. Kennedy Arboretum Ballysock Campile. And of course, this connection began way back in the early 60s or late 60s, didn't it? When Colonel Price, who we bought Kilmackie from, donated the magnolia campbelli.
Yeah, that's right.
And yours was planted very cleverly at the top of your drive, and ours on the right-hand side of our drive. And I think yours flowers a little bit ahead of ours. And it's such a beautiful show, isn't it? That beautiful pink.
Oh yeah, it's a smashing plant, and I suppose it takes us back to the beginning of the Arboretum, and people would have donated plants from around Ireland, and plants would have come from around the world. So I suppose the Arboretum, was opened the 22nd of May, 1968, and was founded for a memorial for the passing of John F. Kennedy in 1963, November 1963.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So plants from around the world, and magnolias have done really well, and especially the one from Kilmackie. Yeah. Nice link between the two gardens.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. The planting began back in the late 60s with the Arboretum. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'll tell you the bit of history, I suppose. And in 1963, then 22nd November, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, a group of Irish Americans came up with the idea of a memorial, and the Irish government as well. And the Irish government had land. The Land Commission purchased a farm, 158 hectares. The Irish Americans, led by Cork man Sean Keating, he was I think a mayor, assistant mayor at one stage of New York, but he was largely involved in unions in New York. They collected $145,000 at the time within a matter of 2 weeks, I think, and this money was used for building the existing buildings, which are modelled on the forestry service in America. We use a lot of native materials like clear limestone, Connemara slate, and the cedar wood of the building is used in America for buildings in America, so it's waterproof. So it's American red cedar. So the Arboretum opened the 22nd of May 1968. Planting would have started in 1967. Would continue all the way probably to the mid 1990s to 2000. So that was the height of the planting. It would have slowed down after that. There's about at that stage there was about probably 5,500 plants planted from around the world. So, and then donations would have come from like yourselves from Kilmackie. Would have been one of the few. We would have got plants from Botanic Gardens and governments from around the world. I think about 17 donated plants from around the world. We would have bought plants as well from Hilliers Nurseries, which would have been a reputable nursery in England, one of the largest, and it would have plants, wild grown plants. So our aim in the Arboretum is to grow plants from around the world, and grow a typical plant that you will see maybe in the wild. If you went to Spain or Morocco or wherever you went, you would see this tree or shrub, and it'll be a good representation of what you'll see when you go to other countries.
It's incredible when you go to the Arboretum, isn't it, to think that before that planting began, it was farmland.
Yes, the first 158 hectares was just a farm, and it would have been so even the woodlands in the Arboretum, the lake, everything is man-made. So the woodlands would have been planted as well. There would have been the old driveway, the entrance into the Arboretum would have been the old road to Campile, and there's some large oaks and beech along that with probably 200 or 300 years old. The only two existing trees probably that were left are the two monkey puzzles that are outside the front of the visitor centre, just as you go down to Vistas. So they were the only probably 2 existing plants, that were there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course, you have such a plethora of different types of trees at the JFK Arboretum. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the plants from around the world that you have?
Yeah, probably some things have been very successful, particularly eucalyptus. We've at one stage we had 152 different eucalyptus from Australia, Chile, New Zealand, Tasmania are probably the most abundant in that area. So then we'd have oaks from around the world. We have 80 to 90 oaks, different species of oaks out from the oak collection. So I think it's about a quarter of a collection of oaks from around the world. The pine collection would be very popular as well. Magnolias, Nothofagus, which are from Chile, New Zealand, as well. Then we have we'd have walnuts, wingnuts, beech, the ash collection. So I think the plants and different, mostly trees we grow, and a lot of shrubs as well, but mostly trees are aimed to grow in the Arboretum, and wild collected seeds from around the world, and we'd source them as much as possible. We'd lose some every year, and we'd try to keep adding to the collection. So at the moment, probably we have about 3,500, somewhere in around there to 4,000 different trees and shrubs from around the world.
Lovely. And we're so lucky, aren't we, to be positioned in such a beautiful part of Ireland. And, we're south of New Ross, where we have the Dunbrody Ship and the St. Mary's Church and the Library Park and Hill Park in the town. And then the new walkway, Greenway, which has... which has been opened from New Ross to Glenmore.
So there's lots of places of interest there for people to for gardening and exercise and
and then we're sort of sandwiched between New Ross and all of that, and the Hook Peninsula and all the wildness of the beautiful views from the walks. There's a beautiful headland walk on from Arthurstown down towards Duncannon, with the Hook Lighthouse at the end of the peninsula and all of the thousands of visitors that brings, along with the smaller businesses like the Wild Sauna at Bag and Bun Beach, and we have the Irish Experience with the canoeing and the co-steering out from Bag and Bun as well.
We'd often, as well as Sleek Wheelshire there, just as you were talking about some of the highlights, probably Sleek Wheelshire is probably is the highest part in South Wexford. It's 271 metres, and from the summit there, you can see 6 counties. You see, I've forgotten a little bit of it now, but sorry. But it's beautiful views from the summit, and we'd often take a lot of our visitors there to tours groups and all.
Yes, just to and right out to the Salty Islands, and then back to the mountains.
Yes. So the Comeragh, the Galtee Mountains, sorry, didn't come to me earlier, but you can view them from the summit there, so you can see Waterford, Kilkenny, Wicklow, Carlow, Tipperary.
And of course, from that viewing point, you have that beautiful grass path area on the top. Yes, we do have walking trails around the summit of that as well. So a lot of people walk their dogs and
use the forestry trails down farther as well.
Yes, lovely. You touched a little bit on the visitor centre, and there's quite a lot in there, isn't there?
There is, yes. The visitor centre, when you come into the entrance on the right-hand side, we have a display of John F. Kennedy's highlights of his presidency. So there's the Berlin Wall, there's the landing on the moon, his visit to the Irish Parliament. There's also a very popular display on Jackie Kennedy's clothing that's in the lower corner of the Arboretum, or in display centre. And we also have a display on trees from around the world then on the other side of the visitor centre. So there are trees, and it explains the roles in the Arboretum and the roles in environment and conservation, and its foundation of the Arboretum as well. So it's a board, a display that you can go and view there. So,
and I know that you're very keen on biodiversity. certainly my favourite spot in the Arboretum is that lovely big wide ride that you have down from the visitor centre, where in the last few years you've been mowing paths, and then you've kept a lot of that sort of meadow central part, which which I believe that you've been planting various different grasses in.
Yeah. We've well, not so grasses. We've managed to have meadow the last probably 4 years now, and we've about 50 acres of meadows in the Arboretum. We're encouraging this for it cuts down on mowing, cuts down on fuel. We try to encourage parts of it for wildlife. We'd have a brilliant red squirrel population in the Arboretum with all the trees we have. We'd also have with the meadows, we're trying to encourage a bit more land linking with pollination, the National Pollination Plan there, and as part of the OPW's program to introduce more wild areas into their parks and gardens around Ireland as well. So it's all part of our strategy for improving biodiversity, and it makes it a lot easier to look after. You only we mow the meadows. We actually sell the bales to a local farmer, and so it's all sort of a circular economy, trying to make things a little bit more easy to maintain and make a bit more room for wildlife in the Arboretum, because we've 623 acres. We probably mow another quarter or third of that, and then we have another about 50-60 acres that we'll have in wild areas that we'll manage.
Fantastic. I love your forestry plots. Tell me a little bit more about them.
Yeah, that's probably our Arboretum is probably different than a lot of Arboretums from around the world. We have half and half. We saw the Arboretum, and then we have another half then that's forestry plots. They were added in originally from the start as well. We have about 190 forestry plots in the Arboretum. They're there for research, for introducing new trees into Ireland and see how they'll perform in the Irish climate. So we have 5 geographical areas that we concentrated on, and we've broken them up into areas in the Arboretum. So we've Western North America, Eastern North America, Australia, Asia, then we've Europe, and then we have South America. So we broke them into 5 different geographical areas. So they're planted in groups together in an area in the Arboretum, and to see how they perform. And the students from WIT or SETU come down and they'll measure. They might do projects on them, and then foresters from around Ireland. We actually have foresters coming from Finland in the next couple of weeks. They'll be visiting as well, and we take them on a tour, and we'll show them forestry plots that have grown well in Ireland, compare and contrast them how they would get on in Finland and stuff like that. So yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. So it's brilliant for wildlife as well then. So yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about the Arboretum, and you're doing such a super job with, I believe there's 20 employees, is that right?
Yeah, there's 20 in total at the peak of the season. So summertime we offer tours as well from mid-March all the way to the end of September, and our guides are there till November. And we do tours if people are interested in coming in. Anytime, to just contact our guidance service there, and they'll do you a specific tour for if you have a small group or people that can't get access to the Arboretum. We have a golf buggy that we can take people around as well. Lovely. Once the weather improves.
And you're open all year, aren't you?
Yeah, the only day we don't open is Christmas Day. Yeah.
Lovely.
So the whole 364 days of the year we're there.
Well done
for people to come visit us. All right.
Super. Well, thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
Thank
Very
you.
welcome.
Thank you.